Hello and welcome to the What Women Want Today podcast. You might be asking yourself right about now, well, what do women want? I mean, we're pretty complex creatures, right? Well, I think we want it all, and I'm here to explore it with you. My name is Terry Kellums. I'm your host. Go grab your favorite beverage. I've already got my glass of wine, and let's get started. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of What Women Want Today podcast. If today is your first time listening in, welcome. I'm so glad you joined me today. I hope you'll hit the follow button and join me each week. If you are a regular listener, I am so grateful you're here today. I feel like I owe you a little bit of an explanation as to why there was no podcast episode last week. If you're listening today and you've ever hurt your back, I probably don't need to tell you how painful it can be. I feel like I really did this to myself. I was at the gym on a machine I wasn't familiar with, and I used it anyway. I came home and bent over to pick up my little puppy, and ouch, the pain I felt was severe. So I've been struggling with it for over a week now, and it's just hard. It's been painful and tiring because the pain doesn't go away just because you lay down to go to sleep at night. But I don't want another week to go by without sharing an experience I had recently. I fear this episode is so simple, and you may have experienced or heard of something similar, but it was a moment for me, and I want to share it with you. Sometimes we need reminders of things we already know. So my husband and I recently went to Maui. This was a trip that he planned for my birthday, I think 2 years ago. Airlines were having some awesome sales, and we were on a plane headed to see our grandbaby. And I was drifting off to sleep, and he says, "Hey, let's go to Hawaii. The airfare is really cheap." I think I mumbled, "Oh, okay, honey." And I woke up a little bit later, and he said, "Okay, it's booked." Midlife has made my husband Brian a little more, should I say, impulsive? Yeah, I think that's a great word, impulsive. Well, it had never been a destination on our bucket list, but hey, I'm not going to turn down a trip to a beautiful place with lots of sunshine and beautiful beaches. So here we were in Maui, and it had been a while, I think since 2019, since we'd been on a beach vacation, and it really is our favorite vacation type. One of the things that we love to do on a beach vacation is go snorkeling. I don't quite know what it is about the water that is so peaceful and calming, but it really is my happy place until I get in the water. And then it's one part happy, one part, oh my God, I'm scared shitless. So 2 things occur. Number 1, I remember I am not a strong swimmer. And number 2, I'm claustrophobic. So putting my face in the water just kind of freaks me out a little bit. So when we decided to book a snorkeling trip while we were in Maui, I was one part excited and one part anxious. So Brian suggested we go the day before and find a quiet, secluded spot where I can practice and get more comfortable before we go out on the boat for the day. Here we are in a beautiful area. It kind of just takes your breath away. The water is amazingly clear, and the landscape all around is green and lush. And we found the perfect spot to relax and enjoy a beautiful sunny day. So we trek back up the hill and we grab all of our things, and dread is starting to sit in the pit of my stomach like a boulder. I encourage Brian to go ahead and sort of test things out for us, as it's tricky to get past the rocks with the stronger waves coming in. And I watch him until I see he's in the water. And there is one part of me that hopes he comes back and says, "This is a terrible spot. Let's go somewhere else." But he doesn't. He comes back to report that it's beautiful, but tricky. The spot right in front of us in this little strip of sandy beach, there were just too many jagged rocks, and a strong wave could have me cut up pretty badly. So the only way is to climb over some slippery rocks and go out a little ways. So we get our gear, we test it, we put on our little socks that go on before you put your fins on, and we start making our way over the slippery rock. He cautions me how slippery they are, and he can't hold my hand because he's carrying all of our gear. I don't think I've ever mentioned here on the podcast how clumsy I am, but if a week goes by that I don't somehow bruise myself, break something, cut or burn myself while cooking, well, then it's been a good week. My legs are like jelly as I am carefully navigating all of the slippery rocks, And in some spots, there's not even anything to hold on to. So finally, I reach the rock that he wants me to sit on so I can put my fins on and lower myself into the water. My heart is racing, and the water is not very warm and inviting. If you're thinking to yourself right now, geez Louise, why bother if you're such a chicken? I can't really explain it, except once I get more comfortable in the water, snorkeling is an amazing experience. My husband is so patient. I can tell you I have panicked a few times while we've been snorkeling, and I could have drowned him. So anyway, back to the rock I'm sitting on. I tell him I just want to sit there for a minute and calm myself. And as we're sitting there, we see 3 sea turtles. It has been on my bucket list to see one, so I was so excited. He tells me I have to time the waves right, and he's pointing it out to me as a little calm break in the water once we get past the waves. I get in, and I literally feel like there is no way I can take a breath. So I lift my head back out of the water. It's really not much better there either. I'm panicking, and there's nowhere for me to stand. The water has leaked inside my mask, and the salt water is burning my eyes. I start telling myself I can't do it. And he grabs my hand, and I move over so that I can sort of straddle his back a little bit and lock my knees around his waist so I have a steady spot to adjust my mask. And I think, okay, let's do this. I can do this. So he holds my hand, and I look around, and I see a few cool, colorful fish. But then the panic takes hold again, and I can't breathe. I go to the surface, and the whole time I'm telling myself, breathe, breathe, breathe. Do you know how many people wish they could have this experience? But then the other part of my brain is saying, can't do this. It's too hard. And I swim back over to the safety of my rock. But I didn't time the waves right, and they're knocking me against the rock, and my arms and legs are getting little cuts in them. Brian swims over and asks, "Are you done?" And I say, "I'm not sure I can do it." Then he sees a sea turtle swim into a little cove surrounded by rocks. He points to it and says, "Do you want to pet that sea turtle?" My answer, and I feel choked up even telling you guys this right now, but my answer was more than anything. So I put my mask back in place. We time the waves right, and away we go. The turtle had swum into what I can describe as like a little cul-de-sac, and the only way out was to swim past us. The waves would push us forward and then pull us back. But I felt determined. And then it came close. And I reached out my hand and gently touched its back, and I felt like time stood still for a few minutes as I looked at this creature that has a history of roaming the oceans for 110 million years. It was a special moment. I almost missed it. I almost let my fear win. I could have missed a special once-in-a-lifetime moment if I would have listened to that other voice, the one that says you can't. So although this may seem cliche of me to say, don't let your fears stop you from missing out on amazing moments in your life, that is my message for you today. Have you ever heard the saying that fear is just false evidence appearing real? Because I could breathe. I could do it. Fear is sometimes a helpful thing that keeps us from harm, but many times it's that inner voice that keeps us stuck. I hope today's topic puts a fear in your life into perspective for you today. I'd love to know how you've overcome a fear and how awesome you felt after you conquered it. Send me a message on Instagram, Facebook, or to my email. I'll put links in the show notes, and tell me all about it. I have some special photos I will share on Instagram this week of that little beach area, so make sure you're following me on Instagram. I'd love to connect with you more there. And I will leave you with this quote that I found so appropriate for that moment. Curiosity will conquer fear even more than bravery will. And that's by James Stevens. Oh, and P.S., the next day on our big snorkeling excursion, I rocked snorkeling. I saw some amazing fish. I saw an octopus. And the people next to us on the boat said they saw a small shark. So don't miss out, friend. Go find your sea turtle. Until next time, please remember to take good care of you. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation as much as I did. If you'd like to continue the conversation, come on over and join our private Facebook group, What Women Want Today. I'd love to hang out with you some more there. Any resources mentioned in today's episode will be in the show notes. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at What Women Want Today Podcast, or visit my website at whatwomenwanttoday.com. Please remember to subscribe, download, and share. Leave me a review. It helps other amazing women find the show and become a member of our community. One last thing for you today. You are not alone. You are worthy of love and a fulfilled life. Now it's time to go after it.